Viewers, good evening. Thank you for joining us. For decades, the Congress party has woven a narrative that has vilified Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, branding him as the architect of India's partition and the proponent of the two-nation theory that led to creation of Pakistan. Viewers, through this selective narrative, the Congress and the ecosystem have painted Savarkar as a divisive figure while lionizing leaders like Syed Ahmad Khan and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, whose roles in fanning communal separatism were conveniently glossed over. But truth, as we know, has a habit of coming out. Pakistan's Army Chief, no less, General Asim Munir, has shattered this carefully curated deception of the Congress party and the left-wing historians. In other words, Pakistan has exposed the Congress's fakery on Savarkar. Pak Army Chief proudly owned the two-nation theory and said Pakistan was created because Hindus and Muslims are different in every way. His words, not mine. Viewers, Asim Munir has not only exposed the ideological bigotry at Pakistan's core, but has also laid bare the Congress party's decades-long fraud on history. This speech is not just a reiteration of Pakistan's founding ideology, but an admission, viewers, of its divisive vision. By invoking this theory, Munir has turned the spotlight on the historical figures who championed it, and in doing so, he has carefully dismantled the Congress's long-standing narrative that pinned the blame on Savarkar. Viewers, the Congress party's vilification of Savarkar has been a masterclass in, what do I say, twisting history. Congress leaders like Shashi Tharoor have in the past said that Savarkar advocated for the two-nation theory as early as 1937, 3 years before the Muslim League's Pakistan resolution in 1940. But viewers, context matters. Savarkar's articulation was not a call for division, but a pragmatic recognition of the growing communal fault lines because of leaders like Jinnah and Syed Ahmad Khan, who actively pushed for a Muslim nation. Viewers, Savarkar's vision of Hindutva was about cultural unity, not religious exclusivity. Yet the Congress party twisted his words to fit their political agenda. Viewers, contrast this with the Congress's glorification of figures like Jinnah and Syed Ahmad Khan. These leaders, whose actions directly fueled the demand for Pakistan, have been treated with kid gloves by the Congress, their roles whitewashed in the name of secularism. But Savarkar, whose life was dedicated to India's unity and sovereignty, has been demonized as the scapegoat for a partition that was the culmination of decades of appeasement and communal politics. Because the blood-soaked borders of 1947 were not drawn by Savarkar's pen, but by the politics of division that Congress failed to counter effectively. By blaming Savarkar, Congress has deflected accountability for its own role in the events leading to partition, choosing instead to weaponize history for votes. Viewers, will the Congress under Rahul Gandhi muster some courage to apologize for maligning Savarkar and perpetuating a historical fraud? Let's wait.
मैं साफ तौर पे एक बात कहना चाहता हूं कि अगर इस देश में टू नेशन थ्योरी की किसी ने नींव रखी थी तो 1935 में अहमदाबाद में हिंदू महासभा के सेशन में सावरकर ने रखी थी, कांग्रेस पार्टी ने नहीं रखी थी। अध्यक्ष जी बैठ जाइए, जब आपका मौका आएगा बोलिए।
The first advocate of the two-nation theory was actually Veer Savarkar as the head of the Hindu Mahasabha, who called upon India to recognize Hindus and Muslims as two separate nations 3 years before the Pakistan Muslim League passed the Pakistan resolution in Lahore in 1940.
You heard the comments. Let's open this up to Hind Sinha, national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Ratan Sharda, the erudite and dynamic Karan Verma, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, Ravi Srivastav, Syed Asad Abbas completes the panel. Kamruzaman ji, the Congress has been pushing this fraud on people for far too long. Now you've heard it from Pakistan. Were you waiting for this day?
So you believe in the Pakistan Army General more than what Congress is saying, or what Savarkar exactly said in his book, The Essentials of Hindutva, which was published as Hindutva, who is a Hindu? What did he say out there? He posited that the true Hindu is someone who regards India as both their Pitru Bhumi and Punya Bhumi, or the Holy Land, which inherently excluded Muslims and Christians whose sacred sites are outside India. Then on the 1937 Hindu Mahasabha session in Ahmedabad, what he said, India cannot be assumed today to be a unitarian and a homogeneous nation. But on the contrary, there are two nations in the main, the Hindus and the Muslims. Pransh, you see, I consider 1905 Lord Curzon of the British, Savarkar, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, or you can say the ruler of Bengal at that time, Sohrawardi, or Shama Prasad Mukherjee. All these people were directly responsible for the partition of India during 1947. In 1905, Lord Curzon brought about partition of Bengal, not on religious lines, but on communal lines, in the sense, matlab, the Bengalis will be divided based on their religion. That was the divide and rule policy.
Sir,
in 2025,
I will make it easy for you.
We have got the same Lord Curzon ruling over India, who wants
now, one minute, sir, 1 minute, you are dropping.
No, India
1 minute, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, 1 minute, sir, 1 minute. Abhi we have a lot of time. देखिए, मुझे ये बताइए, सीधा सवाल है. 1905, 1937 पहले आया या 1887 पहले आया?
Listen, one thing you must understand.
देखिए सीधा सवाल है, उसका भी आप जवाब नहीं दे रहे.
You are hinting about.
Why are you not answering this question? पहले 2000 आया, 2025 आया. पहले क्या आया सर? 2000 आया ना? तो 1905 से पहले आएगा 1887. 1887 में क्या कहा था सैयद अहमद खान ने? आपने वो भी पढ़ा होगा, बट उनका नाम ही नहीं लिया आपने. जिन्ना का नाम नहीं लिया आपने. 1937 you're quoting Savarkar, and then over decades this fraud has been pushed, so much so that it has become mainstream. Thanks to historians like Mr. Sampath, who are now telling the truth. Ravi Srivastav, what's going on, sir? Pakistan is admitting. What was the genesis of the two-nation theory?
Pradesh, first of all, for a change, you are trusting a Pakistan general, Amir, whatever he is.
Asim Munir.
First of all, he doesn't have an officer-like quality. I heard entire speech given by him. It appears that he is a cleric or a preacher. He talked about that how the land of Pakistan was formed 1300 years before, and what he did, what Paighambar Sahib did, was he made only two things in the whole world. One was the Mecca Medina, the other was Pakistan. So what this man is doing, it doesn't have the officer-like quality. I said OLQ. Yes, what you are saying, I admit that, I correct that. Sir, Syed Ahmad Khan was the first person who is the father of the two-nation theory, which was perpetuated further by Jinnah Sahib. So why are you saying that this was created by Congress or someone else?
Ravi Srivastav, देखिए sir, look at the 1 minute, sir, 1 minute. Sir, Syed Ahmad Khan, Jinnah Sahib और सावरकर को वीर भी नहीं बोलते आप लोग. ये तो प्रॉब्लम है कांग्रेस पार्टी की. And then you say, why are you blaming the Congress party? I asked Kamruzaman Chaudhary ji. In fact, I began by asking him a simple question, क्या चल रहा है? Then, he said what he had to. Then I asked him, पहले क्या आया 1887 या 1905? Why is he not answering what he was admitting? क्योंकि फंस जाएंगे ना वो. कांग्रेस पार्टी ने झूठ बोला इतने सालों तक. तुहिन सिन्हा.
Well, good evening, Pranesh. Good evening, everybody. After his release from Kala Pani in 1921, Veer Savarkar ji had spent the next 16 years till 1937 in Ratnagiri under various restrictions, which is also described as forced unemployment, or, it was house arrest, a very rigid house arrest. Now, during this corresponding period, let us examine what was happening on the other side. In 1930, Allama Iqbal in the Allahabad Adiveshan of the All India Muslim League had first floated the idea of a separate land for Muslims northwest of India. In 1933, Chaudhry Rahmat Ali had coined the word Pakistan for this proposed land. In 1937, from 1937 onwards, Jinnah openly started, started propagating, he started speaking on the massive differences between Hindu, Muslim, and from there on, the whole idea of Pakistan became, it was very difficult to put down. So I think, history has a way to reveal itself. The only reason, and I say this with responsibility, the only reason Congress today pins the blame on Savarkar is because the present day Congress party continues to have an alliance with the descendants of the then Muslim League, the IUML in Kerala, which has an equally divisive agenda, which they're working on in Kerala, which is the topic of your next discussion. So Congress is guilty of actually hobnobbing, fraternizing with the elements which are descendants of that Muslim League, and that is the reason they want to pin the blame on Veer Savarkar, but history is completely different from that.
Okay. Then if history is completely different, who do we blame? Syed Asad Abbas?
Well, to me, Pranesh, it's absolutely exciting, I would say, how the Bharatiya Janata Party is seeking validation from a rogue country like a Pakistan. Did Pakistan became so sacrosanct and their generals, I would say, sir, डंके की चोट पे कह रहा हूं, हमारे देश का एक इनोसेंट हवलदार उनके जनरल से कहीं ज्यादा वजनदार है और कहीं ज्यादा भारी है. पाकिस्तान के वो जनरल के बारे में मैं थोड़ी सी रिसर्च किया हूं.
नहीं, 1 minute. Syed Asad Abbas, this is not about the Pakistani general. You're catching the wrong end of the stick. This is about history.
I'll tell you about the history and I'll tell you a little bit about this general. हम अपने दुश्मनों को भी पाकीज़ा सजा देते हैं, हम हाथों से नहीं नजरों से गिरा देते हैं. This was the share used by Pakistani themselves than this general that we are debating about historical facts. Let me tell you now, let me challenge my friend Tuhin Sinha of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We do speak of Syed Ahmad Khan, we do speak of Jinnah, we do speak of E.D. Savarkar, but the fact of the matter is, my dear friend Tuhin Sinha, all of that we speak, give me at least about 2 or 3 leaders of the Indian National Congress who've called for a two-nation theory, even from a barge pole. Please tell me, sir. Give me one leader of the Indian National Congress.
So 1 minute. Syed Asad Abbas, is that your explanation for the Congress's vilification of Savarkar? Why has the Congress party vilified the legacy and image of Savarkar? Why? Because it did not come from the first family of the Congress, Ratan Sharda?
Pranesh, I think when you talk of the military general of Pakistan, we are not saying that he's a great man. We are saying he repeated what was the basic foundation stone of Pakistan. Pakistan Army and Pakistan survived on the base of hate for Hindus, hate for Hindustan. That is the founding stone. Once we understand, we will understand that two-nation theory was perpetuated not just before partition, or also after partition. And if people say that Savarkar is responsible, I'm not going to say Syed Ahmad Khan, all those are gone, everybody is argued it. My simple argument is, Hindus voted for Congress, didn't vote for Hindu Mahasabha, right? During 1946 elections, etc., they continuously voted for Congress because that was considered the Hindu party vis-a-vis the Muslim party or Muslim leagues. That was the definition it was done. The same Congress which got the votes of all the Hindus, believing that Congress will not go for division, when Nehru said Pakistan is a fantastic nonsense, when Gandhiji said Pakistan over my dead body. If this was the way Hindus put their faith in Congress, then Congress is responsible what happened for all these times. Secondly, there were continuous riot right from Mopla time, the Mopla violence of 1920, for which Gandhiji kept quiet and said they were poor Muslims are doing their duty. Nehru said after the British put down the violence with heavy hand, Nehru wrote about the poor condition of the poor Mopla people whom British suppressed. The Haji Kunjamam, the person who the principal perpetrator of Mopla violence, was called a freedom fighter by the left and the Congress in official government books, till it was found out by the BJP and stopped it. So what are we talking about? We are unnecessarily trying to create a halo around the Pakistanis and also trying to say that Savarkar was responsible. Savarkar's constitution proposed by him clearly said, he never said division, he said it will be uniform constitution, everybody, no appeasement, everybody, no special rights for Hindus. If that is not secular, is this constitution secular, where you're talking of special rights for Muslims under Waqf board and all that? And so we should not get into all this, because Mopla violence actually laid the foundation when Muslims actually tasted the veto power of their strength of their violence in 1920 onwards, because they could bend Congress to the requirement, they could bend everybody. During partition, when you said there was nonsense, the partition of the Pakistan a nonsensical idea, and try to prove that two-nation theory is false. Did it work in Kashmir? You said Kashmir is a Muslim majority area, so it needs 370. Where is secularism? When you get for Article 25 to 30, where is the secularism? So let us not fool ourselves.
You're absolutely right, Ratan Shardaji. You know, which is why, Karan, the fundamental question is, actually, I wanted to ask you what comes first, 1887 or 1905? But, you know, I think the viewers have understood that. But you see what the Congress has been doing. Pakistan is owning up to the bigotry that led to the creation of Pakistan. The Congress says Hindutva gave birth to Pakistan. That led to partition.
So, Pranesh, we just saw an example of what the Congress has done for decades right on your show today, when Kamru Zaman ji deliberately, again selectively quoted Veer Savarkar's speech. And I knew he would do this. That is why I have the full speech ready with me. And I am quoting you the two lines which he didn't quote deliberately. What did Veer Savarkar ji say in the 1937 speech? I am quoting now. Let the Indian state be purely Indian. Let it not recognize any distinctions. Let no cognizance be taken whatsoever of man being Hindu or Mohammedan or Christian or Jew. I, for one, and thousands of Mahasabhites like me, have set this ideal as an Indian state as our political goal right to the end of our life. Can you imagine this? A steady resolve saying that yes, we acknowledge that there is diversity. Yes, we are not a homogeneous entity, but we are going to work towards the goal of preserving this ideal of a nation where everyone can coexist. To misquote this deliberately, which Kamru Zaman ji has done on your show, and to give it a spin and compare it with what Syed Ahmed did. Syed Ahmed clearly said, and I am quoting again, 1957 revolt was an act of haram. He said, where Hindus and Muslims actually did struggle together, he said it was an act of haram. Those who did were vagabonds and ill-conditioned Muslims. Loyalty to British is the religious duty of Muslims. He went this far and he said, we cannot be two nations. Tomorrow if the British leave, these Hindus will rule over Mohammedans. This is the kind of language he resorted to. One was talking openly of secession and the other was talking about unity in diversity. But Pranesh, you know one big thing. Today when I heard this Pakistan army person talk about two nation, how the two nation failed is when Pakistan got split into two. When Bangladesh was carved out, why did religion not stand as a unifier? That's a big learning. They tried to impose Urdu on Bengalis. It didn't work. Today they are trying to do the same in Balochistan. It fell apart because what unites eventually is culture. It's the tattva. It's Hindutva. It was a cultural thing which was enunciated by the Supreme Court also. Hindutva means Indian culture, and it is cultures that unite, not religions. That is the wake-up call that we all must understand, rather than resorting to this dog whistle politics of blaming on someone who sacrificed so many years for the country.
This has gone beyond dog whistle, Karan. You are being rather charitable, but you know, I don't think you can fault Kamru Zaman Chaudhary ji, because Congress's sense of history actually begins from 1937. उससे पहले आर्काइव्स अवेलेबल नहीं होगा, एक्सेस नहीं होगा, पता नहीं क्यों इन्होंने ये भी दो लाइन छोड़ दिए. कमरू जमान जी, what is your defense?
No, basically misquoting and quoting right from the history is the preserve of the right-wingers out here in your panel. We have no right to quote from history. Do you know one person, a very unknown person, in Abdul Muttalib Mazumdar? He was from Sylhet district, erstwhile Sylhet district of Bangladesh. He was responsible for the partition of Sylhet district when there was a plebiscite undertaken under the British. It was Jawaharlal Nehru of the Congress party and Abdul Muttalib Mazumdar who walked from house to house in Assam and pleading with the people to vote for India. And they did vote for India.
What did Jawaharlal Nehru, sir, 1 minute. What did Jawaharlal Nehru do when the idea of Pakistan came into being? How many steps did he walk? Where did he go?
Pransh, the problem with you is when you ask a question, you please give the time to your panelists to reply. Otherwise, this does not become a shouting match. At least people will understand the contents and judge for themselves. You don't leave it to the judge and the jury, sir. Thank you. Now listen to me. When I said about Jawaharlal Nehru, when in what you call this Surwardi's cabinet, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was also a minister out there. When Jinnah, Savarkar and all were raising the two-nation theory based on the religion, at that time, Sarwardi or Shyama Prasad Mukherjee wanted the partition of Bengal. Surwardi wanted a united Bengal to be carved out independent of India and Pakistan. Whereas Shyama Prasad Mukherjee said, no, we need the Hindu majority of Bengal with us. Then came the partition of Bengal. It was a long debated discussion, all documented and recorded, and I request all your panelists from the right wing here.
Sir, you don't have to request. People come prepared. Kamruzaman ji, sir, I request you that instead of blaming the anchor for not giving you time, to start at least, try and make sense of the question. It's not fair. I have high regards for you, but to say that it becomes a shouting match, because when you're confronted, you don't answer the question, which is why I have to step in. मैंने कितना सिंपल सवाल पूछा आपसे कि साल कौन सा पहले आता है, वो भी आप सीधा जवाब नहीं दे पाए. There's a reason why you're not answering that question. Now let me tell you what B.R. Ambedkar said. Mr. Jinnah says India should be cut up into two, Pakistan and Hindustan, the Muslim nation to occupy Pakistan and the Hindu nation to occupy Hindustan. Mr. Savarkar, on the other hand, insists that although there are two nations in India, India shall not be divided into two parts, one for Muslims and the other for Hindus. The two nations shall dwell in one country and shall live under the mantle of one single constitution. आप बताइए सर.
Listen, first and foremost, you are castigating the Congress party, and it was the Congress party only at that time which fought for a united, independent India at that time. But people like, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, they wanted with their vested interest for their political vote bank, they wanted the partition of Bengal. Okay. That was the flashpoint when the British said, okay, fine, let us divide.
When Mahatma Gandhi said, shut down the Congress party, our goal is over, what was his vested interest? And with what vested interest have you not obeyed him? Aap bataiye. It's a simple question.
The documented communal statements of
communal कहाँ आ गया? देखिए फिर you are shifting the goalpost. रवि श्रीवास्तव एक भी सवाल का जवाब नहीं दे रहे हैं. उनका बस यही है कि प्रणेश बोलने नहीं देता.
Pranesh, see, first of all, we are trying to divide too much that Congress said this or Savarkar ji said this, etc., etc. But Shri Keshav Baliram Hedgewar ji, who had founded RSS, he was a Congress member from 1915 to 1920. For 5 years, he was a part of Congress only. So how come you are saying that what theory was perpetuated was not,
sir, I am not. But thank you for underlining that. ये दूसरे debate में काम आएगा. अभी ये आप भूलिएगा मत. When I ask you some questions on the other story that we will discuss, don't go back on this. But you answer my question. If the idea of Pakistan was first floated in 1887 by the people I named, why has the Congress party pinned the blame of two-nation theory on Savarkar? Why? Is it not for appeasement?
Sir, you are naming it. You are naming it Pakistan. It was not Pakistan. It was not Pakistan that time. They wanted two-nation theory. That's all. Mahatma Gandhi was very pained by this partition that everybody knows.
He himself was not in
No,
favor
hang
of
on.
the
Sir, what is
partition
this
of the
two
country
nation
of-
theory? Yes, ये क्या बोल रहे हैं सर? ये पाकिस्तान दूसरा नेशन कौन था? पाकिस्तान ही था ना?
India has got Muslims here. Pakistan had Hindus there. They all were there. Mahatma Gandhi wanted all should coexist. He never wanted that they should migrate.
I'm not talking about Mahatma Gandhi. I'm talking about the Congress party. Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary was saying that, I measured how many steps Nehru walked to save what he said. I asked him a question on partition. What did the Congress do to stop it? But forget that for a moment. Why are you going after a patriot like Savarkar? Syed Asad Abbas?
Firstly, let us look at history here. The question is, when a Pakistani general speaks, the Congress party is blamed or asked questions. Now, let me ask my BJP friends here, who took up the war, when they had to split between East Pakistan and West Pakistan? Without carrying ado, it was one of the tallest leaders of the Indian National Congress, Iron Lady of India, Srimati Indira Gandhi ji, who did not care of all the wars, all the American
But
pressure.
Mr. Abbas, it
but
is
went
chalk
ahead.
and cheese. How are the two related? And by the way, she also praised Savarkar. So, Mr. Abbas, let's have some, let's be responsible in our commentary. Let's not be so selective. But Tuhin Sinha, you want to answer?
I will answer. I will tell you why specifically they blame Savarkar. Because Congress from 1937 onwards, till about 1945-46, when Pakistan had almost become inevitable, they had a good time to crush the idea, to aggressively crush the idea of Pakistan politically. But the Congress party was caught napping. It was always found, siding with the wrong people. For example, even on the Kashmir issue, instead of taking the side of Hari Singh, they kept putting their money on Sheikh Abdullah, whose intentions were always dubious from the start. So after wasting these 8 years, the period from 1937 to 1945-46, the partition in the end was extremely hasty, leading to the deaths of millions of people, and Congress cannot escape the blame for that. To escape its own responsibility, Congress finds it convenient today to pin the blame on Savarkar. Even on Kashmir issue, like I said, they had umpteen opportunities to side with Hari Singh. They did not. And, the Kashmir issue went out of hand. To escape their own responsibility, they find it convenient to put the blame on Hindu groups.
Kamruzaman ji.
Basically, you see, we are missing the entire debate altogether. Why you wanted to pin the blame on the Congress party for blaming Savarkar? Now, let me come to the moot point in this debate. Why do we call Savarkar the open proponent for a two-nation theory? And why we club him with Jinnah? That's the viewers wanted to know. Now, what did Savarkar say? He concept of two-nation theory as a distinct nation. He called Hindus as one nation and Muslims as one nation. Where the problem started was when Savarkar provocated that Hindus and Muslims will live in an undivided India, but Hindus will have the supremacy over the rest of the Indians, whether it be Muslims, Sikhs or the Christians. There the problem started when Jinnah started after Savarkar's statement in 1937.
Oh, so
Jinnah
you are saying, okay. So let's simplify this, your argument for the viewer. So you are saying Savarkar's, influence on Jinnah was so profound that Savarkar, planted the idea of two-nation theory in Jinnah's mind. And then there was no looking back. Ratan Sharda ji.
I'm so amazed by people like Kamruzaman changing ideas like changing clothes. He talked about Jinnah. Somebody said Dr. Edgewar is in Congress. Okay, Jinnah is also a member of the Congress. When did he leave Congress? He left Congress when Gandhi ji bent before the Maulanas of Khilafat Andolan or the Khalifa restoration and did not go with the modern leaders like Jinnah, who was very offended, and he left Congress. That is the seeding of Pakistan, not any other idea, because he already had the idea of Sayyid Samad Khan. Somebody talked about Soharwar the Great, who wanted single Bengal. And what single Bengal was? It was the direct action was an attempt to create a Bengal which will go to East Pakistan sans Hindus and that great Sufi of Bareilly Sampradaya. Mr. Suharwardi was a great Sufi of Bareilly school of Islam who perpetrated this violence to keep the vacate Calcutta and put along this Pakistan. What foolish arguments are these? Mr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee fought for partition of Pakistan for Bengal because he wanted some place for Hindus. Did these people like Kamru wanted the Bengalis to live like Sindhis, whose entire land was taken away by the partition and nobody opened their mouth? Millions of Sindhis became refugees in their own land with not 1 yard of land with them from Sindh. That is what these people wanted for the Hindus of Bengal. And what you see today is the same repetition of trying to unify East and West Pakistan using jihadi forces. And he talked of Jawaharlal Great. Last point, Jawahar the Great. How did he deal with Pakistan? Chakmas, who believed that they were majority in the district, will go to India, were thrown into Pakistan. They had unfurled tricolor. They were punished for that. And then when their king came all the way to Delhi, he was made to wait for 1 week. And finally, Nehru said, "Tumhare liye hum jhagda bol nahi lenge." This was the great Nehru. How many skeletons will come out of the cupboard? He doesn't know. So please keep quiet about the greatness of Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal is the same person for whom Gandhi ji said, "Meri koi sunta nahi, main kya karu? Mujhe pucha hi nahi partition ke pehle, main kya karta?" This is that party.
And Karan, you know, we're talking about a lot of people. 1930, Muhammad Iqbal, also, you know, better known as Allama Iqbal, became the Muslim League president for the first time, publicly demanded, 1930. Ye 37 se pehle aata hai, by the way. He said, and I'm quoting, "I would like to see the Punjab, the northwest frontier province, Sindh, Balochistan, amalgamate into a single state, self-government within the British Empire or without the British Empire. The formation of a consolidated Northwest Indian Muslim state appears to be the final destiny of the Muslims." Karan.
You know, Pranesh, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And thank God we have a resolute central government today. A government that doesn't bow down, because back then, at that time, the Congress party, which was heading the independence movement, they completely capitulated. They completely capitulated in the face of appeasement. When we talk of direct action day, what Ratan Sharda ji was repeating, it sends chills down our spine. 10,000 Hindus were slaughtered, many of them leaving, and the police wasn't even responding. It is so eerily similar, not in terms of scale, but in terms of complete lack of sensitivity towards the Hindu cause in Bengal even today, where the police is just mute spectator. And we saw what happened in the wake of Waqf protests. At that time, Jinnah said, "We'll either have a divided India or a destroyed India." And he smirked and smiled because he knew that the Congress party, the then Congress party, did not have what it takes to counter them. Our friend Abbas just said, name 3 people who talked about two nations. Well, they didn't just talk about it. They made it happen. It was their weakness. They conceded. They capitulated for the two nation, and that is the price that we are still paying for it. So unfortunately, this entire streak of secession, we want our separate laws, whether it's personal laws. We want our separate set of adjudication over property disputes, as in Waqf. We want our own halal certification. That must stop. And Kamru Zaman has been exposed today on your channel, where I just quoted. He has not been able to quote anything. He's just gone on shooting in the dark. That Veer Savarkar talked about unity in diversity. He wanted to dedicate his life to that. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee ji, who he just said, and he's not been able to produce a single quote, actually came up as a savior. Because as Ratan Sharda ji rightly said, Hindus were being slaughtered by 10,000 per day at that point of time. If not for his intervention and if not for greats like Gopal Patha, we would have seen a complete doomsday for Hindus. So I think we need to learn lessons from there and work towards a national resolve of being assimilated, where our tattva is the same. At least our culture, our ethos is the same.
No,
we can have diversity, but we need to be bound by a common
because, you know, the people can't even end their denial. How will they learn this lesson and show resolve? Mr. Abbas, quickly. Boliye, sir, Syed Asad Abbas.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to throw in Sinha. All right. So my dear friend Karan has mentioned, you know, Karan, let me tell you, my dear friend, from one young Indian to the other, respected sir, people like you who are right-wingers, people like you who are supporters of BJP, RSS, VHP, Bajrang Dal, etc., etc., a lot more obsessed with Muhammad Ali Jinnah than young Indian Muslims like us. We care two hoots about Jinnah. We care a damn about Jinnah. We care about Mahatma Gandhi. So keep your Jinnah obsession to yourself. And the question, look at how selectively you twist, my dear friend. I asked for 3 names of the Indian National Congress presently who are forwarding two-nation theory or who want. I did not just generalize and say, name anybody.
Okay,
You can name anybody.
Doing quick answer, then we move on.
The point is, the Congress party, even at that point of time, may not have espoused two-nation theory directly, but it was caught napping all the while, because of which we had a blood-filled, a blood-stained partition of the kind which was clearly avoidable. So the Congress, the Congress cannot escape its responsibility for the killings of millions of Hindus across, in present-day Pakistan, which is something they don't understand. And you are talking about Jinnah. You are talking about our obsession with Jinnah. Let me tell you that, we are only worried about the present day Jinnah, which is Rahul Gandhi. He is the modern Jinnah, and our only fight is to defeat his political ideology, who's trying to repeat the same divisive agenda that Jinnah had at that point of time.
Now, gentlemen, just stay with us. Let's slightly shift the attention.